Okay, so thank you everyone who did come out and brave the storm outside to come to our first Ashland Senior Resource Roundtable. This came about that there's some little information about taxes breaks for seniors, and we just kind of flew with it, and we hope to expand it as the years go on. So if there's anything you want to see come up here next year, let me know. But I thank all the panel people that are going to get up here and speak and let you know what kind of resources there are out there in Ashland for you. And Joanne will be the first.
Good afternoon. I'm Joanne Duffy. I'm the director of the Senior Center. And at the Senior Center, I administer a program for tax work-off. And the program goes from, it's a calendar year, from January 1st to December 30th. So I started accepting applications in January. We have 24 slots. I do still have slots available, so I encourage people to come in and see me and make out an application. The requirements are that you have to be 60 years or older. You have to own a house in Ashland. What we pay a person is $750. That would be the exemption that you get at the end of the year, or the tax break. And you work a total of 68 hours, and you have the entire year to work those 68 hours off. And what I try to do is place people in a department. It could be a town department, it could be the school. We use a lot of folks here in the Senior Center, in some area that they feel comfortable. Most of the hours are, most people who do the tax work-off may only work, a couple hours a week. Some people, we get projects that the hours can be done in a period of a couple of months. The maximum number of hours to be compensated is 68, so it's really not too many hours that you have to work. As far as the income level, if for an individual it's $40,000, and for a married couple it's $55,000. Although only one person can do the program at a time, so a husband and wife can't share the opportunity. We ask you to fill out an application, and then I would send you to the payroll department, because you do, in the end, become technically an employee of the town. So at the end of the year, at the end of December, I would get the hours from the department that you worked, and we would turn them in, and a check would be created for you. Now, the check is held in the treasurer's office until your February 1st tax bill is due, and you go pay your tax bill, and they give you a credit of whatever your hours are. You don't have to work the full 68, so you would get credit for whatever hours you work during that year's period. Do anybody have any questions? It really is a very simple application. All the information is confidential. It's kept here, so no one has any access to any of your financial information. I would be the only person that would see it. I encourage more people to come in and apply, because I think I have 8 more slots open.
Joanne,
Yes,
is that
yep.
40 for an individual gross or net?
Gross.
Gross, okay.
Okay?
I
Yeah.
will say that, it's a great program, and I did it last year, and I really
There you
enjoyed
go.
it.
See, we have someone here who successfully has completed. We have a few people here. It does give you a fairly lengthy time to put those 68 hours in, and we'll find something for you to do. Some people even, we have people who provide programs at the Senior Center. We have people, right now I need some people that even pick up bread for Kim. I say for Kim because she manages, not for her personally, she doesn't eat all that bread. Sorry, Kim. We pick up baked goods 4 times a week. People come in and they go to Whole Foods or Shaw's or Framingham Bakery, and then they bring it in here, and then we have a crew of volunteers that sorts those baked goods, and then folks come in, and all that is free. It's a fairly complicated process, even though it sounds simple, and it requires a lot of volunteers. So even something as simple as that can go toward tax work-off. Alrighty? And who's next to present?
Tara.
Tara, Youth and Family Services Director. This is going to fall.
Hi, My name is Kara Terrell. I'm the Director of Ashland Youth and Family Services. And just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about some of the programs that we run that are specifically for seniors. One of the, and this kind of piggybacks on what Joanne said, is one of the opportunities down in the food pantry, or some of the picking up of the food for us, is an opportunity for volunteering. So we have multiple volunteers down in the food pantry. Our hours are Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 to 1. So we have a variety of volunteers, and a lot of them are seniors, so they're our most reliable, available, and loyal volunteers. So we really like to see them stepping up and giving us a hand. You basically, all you have to do is fill out an application. We have applications in our office, and we would fill out the application. We do a query, and as long as there's not any outstanding warrants on you, you are able to come and volunteer. We basically assign you to times that are, pretty flexible, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 to 1. But we have people coming in at all different times, and we try to adjust to what your schedule is as well. Another piece that I wanted to speak about is the fuel assistance. Susan Wells, who's the outreach coordinator here in the senior center, is the designated person here in Ashland for seniors to come to apply for fuel assistance through the SMOC Fuel Assistance Program. So we are the designated agency for SMOC. I would help people under 60, and Susan Wells assist people over 60. Basically, you just need to call Susan Wells, make an appointment. The season runs from October to April 30th, so people are still able to fill out an application if they're income eligible. The income eligibility relies on the family size and your income for the entire family. And basically, if you are approved, then the payment goes directly to the vendor, to your oil vendor or your heating vendor. And then that will be done by the end of April usually. So if you need to make an appointment, just call the senior center and they can make it for you. And you can also go to SMOC if the times don't work for you. Another program that we run, of course, is the food pantry. Not only for volunteers to come in, but seniors, of course, as all residents, are welcome to use the food pantry if they need to. Again, our hours are Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 to 1. We try to make every accommodation for people who are working or people are not able to come to the food pantry during those times. We accommodate people in a lot of different ways. If someone's disabled or not able to come to the food pantry, we certainly would be willing to work something out, and we have a lot of different options for people. So give me a call if you need any different accommodations, if you have questions, or call the senior center directly. And the food pantry basically gives a variety of food. I think that I personally feel like our food pantry is pretty special in this area because we're able to stock meats. We had pork loin last week. I thought that was a pretty good option. We have fresh fruits and vegetables mostly throughout the year. We have some other protein options such as hummus, cheese, eggs, and yogurts. So we try to stock those different options. We're also a gluten-free pantry, so we have some specialty items, as well as the volunteers and the volunteer coordinator are able to accommodate people's, if you need a low salt diet or they need low fat diet, we're able to accommodate people. We also have clothing, and we have books, and we have a holiday program during the holiday season. And last, I wanted to talk about the Ashland Emergency Fund, which is a separate 501c3, which is designated as an agency, group that we can rely on through the Ashland Youth and Family Services for any financial assistance for people going through a crisis. The process is fairly easy. I usually ask people to make an appointment with myself. I'm the screener for the program. And I usually take some financial information and get a good idea of what the plan going forward is for people in their finances, give them some different resources. I have to go before the board. Two members need to approve or deny, and then the emergency fund will issue a check directly to the vendor as well. And those are the 4 programs that I wanted to talk about. Anybody have any questions? I'm gonna hold your questions till afterwards when we are sitting down. But thank you very much. Oh, yes,
You
Ed.
forgot to mention the turkeys that you give out on Thanksgiving and the Christmas toys.
Mention the
Thank you. Ed's just reminding me about a great program that we do have, which is also accessible for elders. We usually have an abundance of turkeys donated. Again, we also purchase turkeys through some of the funding we get through the Ashland Emergency Fund. And we have those available for seniors during the holiday season, for Christmas or for Hanukkah or whatever the season is. Jerry?
Since we're talking about holiday, how about mentioning the drive that goes on all year round where you adopt a family and then they get them at Christmas? The
Sure.
children now.
Thank you, Jerry. You're one of our best volunteers, so just want to give that plug out to you. Always reliable. I just wanted to, what she's mentioning is that we have the opportunity for families, businesses, schools, or individuals to partake in our holiday program, which is basically when residents who are in need apply for assistance during the holidays. And what we do is match them up with families, corporations, businesses, schools, churches, or individuals. And we give them a wish list or a need list, and always, letting people know that it's up to their own budget and up to their own decisions. But usually what people will do is buy the items on the list, and then we will give them to the family. So it's a kind of a direct giving program. And that's always fun. A lot of the kids love it. And Tammy Griffin, the food pantry coordinator, is great about getting the list out to people by October. So a lot of people get it done by Thanksgiving, and it's kind of become a tradition in the town for people to help out. So thank you for mentioning that, and I'll be available to speak to people afterwards as well. And I'm going to introduce, who do you want me to introduce? How about Neighborhood Brigade will be next.
Excellent, thank you. I'm gonna give these to you. I have more. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Fran Firth, representing the Ashland Neighbor Brigade. Has anybody heard of the Neighbor Brigade? Good, and I know Jim has certainly one of our best volunteers. So very simply, the Neighbor Brigade is operated on the simple premise of neighbors helping neighbors. So Neighbor Brigade itself was started back in 2010, so it's been about 8 years. There are about 30 different chapters throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. Each chapter is individually based within a town. So the Ashland chapter was started about 2013. And very simply, what we look to do is have neighbors helping neighbors at times of crisis. So just like Kara talked about crisis in terms of financial support, the Neighbor Brigade is a complete volunteer-based organization, and what we do is step in with the people power to help people through a time of crisis. So that could be something from an illness, sickness, surgery, a death in the family. Sadly, here in Ashland, we've had too many instances of fires. So if somebody's going through a difficult time, we look at a period of about 3 to 4 months where we can help support somebody in that time of need. So I know there are lots of folks who have people in town or family who can step in and help them, but there are times when somebody just doesn't have anyone who can help them. So we have a base of volunteers that can step in. We have a whole online sign-up portal where people can come and say to us, I have this need. I need some help, and we try to match up those needs with our volunteer base. And it can be everything from as simple as somebody has fallen, broken their leg, and their dog needs to be walked, so they need help with that. It can be providing rides to doctor's appointments to get them through that time of crisis. We do a lot of providing meals, a hot meal to a family or to an individual when they're trying to deal with that time of crisis. Weather-related things. We've had people who are not able to get out and get their newspaper from their mailbox or shovel their walkway. We have done so many different things. Jim's been a wonderful volunteer, moving people from one housing location to another in a very kind of point-in-time desperate situation. And it's really about paying it forward. We have a lot of volunteers, so I'm here to educate you both about the opportunity. If you find yourself in a crisis situation where you need some support, we will do our best to support you with that people power as opposed to the financial service. But also, if you're looking to volunteer, we're always looking for people who are available, especially during the day, to provide rides. That's one of the biggest areas that we need some assistance with if somebody needs to get to a surgical appointment or a follow-up doctor appointment. We certainly are always looking for qualified volunteers for that. So we're here to help and support. Hope that nobody needs it, but we know everybody does need to reach out at times. It's difficult to ask for help, so we try to make it as confidential and as easy on our recipients as possible to receive the help. And one of the most rewarding things is when we have somebody who receives the services and then comes back when they're healthy or on their feet and can volunteer for the organization. So we see things come full circle. So that's the Ashland Neighbor Brigade, and we're here to help you. And I can't take questions, right? We'll wait.
You tie in with Baypath as far as the meals goes?
We do not. So the Meals on Wheels program,
Yes.
so that's separate. So anybody who qualifies for that certainly can do that. We are completely separate, where we work directly with the individual or the family, and we try to set up a program over a period of time. So we'll usually start with a month, we'll set up the number of days, what kinds of meals, do our best to deliver based on any food allergies or preferences. Typically what we do is set up a cooler outside the home so that whoever's volunteering can just drop off that meal, and then the recipient can come and get it whenever it's convenient for them. So they're not having to interface. Again, we're trying to make people feel comfortable through this process, but also support them. So it is separate, and we like to complement those programs. Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Wolfing. I am the Director of the Human Services Department and Social Worker for the town of Ashland. Human Services Department is an interdisciplinary team made up of Elder Outreach, Youth and Family Services, the Food Pantry, and myself, the town social worker. We are the point of contact to help support and navigate through any psych or social or environmental stressor. We are here for any resident of any age. We collaborate with all of the town departments as well as many community partners. We have 2 sponsored support groups. Both are drop-in, both are held here at the community center. One is a bereavement support group starting April 5th, the first Thursday of the month from 1:30 to 3. Welcome to all adults grieving the loss of a loved one. The facilitator is a hospice chaplain and a bereavement coordinator. The second support group is a caregiver support group, held the second and fourth Thursday of the month at 1 p.m. It's facilitated by our outreach coordinator. This group is for all caregivers who care for an ailing parent, child, spouse, or loved one, regardless of their ailment.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I have a handout. Usually the wet blanket of any presentation, so I may as well continue the tradition. I have a handout for scams. I know we talked a little bit about, the last time I was up here, about scams, but I thought it would be good to give you some written information on them and how to avoid them, and then what to do if you do fall prey to them. But I don't want to monopolize the conversation this morning on scams, but if you have any questions after reviewing that, feel free to ask or give me a call at the office or stop by. Obviously, I'm with the police department, and I'm sure you know a lot about what the police department does. We're a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, 365-day emergency services organization. We have 27 police officers, 5 dispatches, and just recently we added the town's animal control function under the umbrella of the police department. We have a couple of support people, and we also have about 10 volunteer auxiliary officers. I'm sure everybody here has seen our auxiliary officers at the farmers market and different parades and festivals. They do a fantastic job supporting us, and they're all volunteers. So hats off to them. Like, we couldn't do a lot of our operations without them. To include the upcoming Boston Marathon, we depend on them as well as our entire staff and surrounding communities to help us with that. Some of our recent changes that we've made in the police department, you may find interesting, I guess. We've changed how we receive 911 calls. So when you place a 911 call to our police department, if you place it from your home phone, it comes directly into the Ashland Police Department. If you place it on a cell phone, it goes to the state police dispatch first and then gets transferred to us. But our enhancement that we've recently undergone allows us to see If you're calling from a house, it allows us to see a picture of your house from satellite. So it allows us, dispatchers, to see your house from a satellite view, and that helps the dispatcher guide the responding police and fire units to your property and lets them know what's the best access point, if there's any obstructions, like fences, or, you know, if it's a common driveway, or any other, you know, items that, you know, would cut down our response time. So that has been a big upgrade for us. And if you were calling from a cell phone, although it originates with the state police and then gets transferred to us, we can now track you if you're driving along, if you're following behind somebody and you call and say, hey, I'm behind somebody and they're all over the road, I don't know exactly where I am. Well, we know where you are, because now we can see that depicted on a map, and we can see as you move along, as you're driving, or if you're experiencing a medical emergency in a vehicle, we can find out where you are. And it's also helpful for people who are lost in the woods, and we've used that for that reason, because people who are lost in the woods that have their cell phone, we can track where they are and go and locate them for that, you know, using that system. So that's been a big upgrade for the police department. We also transfer all of our medical calls with the assistance of the fire department to a private ambulance company. So if you're experiencing a medical emergency, you're not having somebody like me trying to walk you through what the steps should be. You're having a trained medical professional doing that on the other end of the phone. So that's been a huge upgrade for us also. We also operate our reverse 911 system. You've all received telephone calls from us, you know, if it's storm related, if it's a lost person, any kind of emergency. We use that system to get information out to you. On the town's website, you can opt in or opt out. And what I mean by that is, if you're sick and tired of getting those calls, you can opt out of that system. If you want in, you want to add phones, whether it's a new cell phone number you got, or if you just moved and are in a new residence and you want to add your new home phone, you can do that. And we will notify you on any emergency based on the numbers or email address that you provide us, because we can also blast out email messages also. So, you know, that's a good way for us to communicate with you in times of emergencies, or, you know, things like lost people or storm-related information. We also post a lot of storm information, as we just experienced, both on our website and our Facebook. So if you're on social media, we have a lot of information up on those sites also. We also have a mental health clinician that's embedded in the police department with our officers. And what I mean by embedded is, we have an employee in our police department that's a mental health clinician. So he or she will respond to any call for service that our officers go to involving somebody who is experiencing a mental health crisis. And what that allows us to do is bring a mental health clinician to the scene and provide emergency mental health assessment to that person immediately, and then determine what's the best course of action at that moment. So we're not depending on, again, someone like me to try to figure it out. We have somebody that's trained in that field to figure if, you know, an evaluation, a further evaluation at the hospital is required, or whether we have resources in the community that would be best suited for that person. So I think that's important to know, because of whether you experience a crisis someday, a family member, a loved one, a neighbor, it's that package that arrives. We operate as a team to help the person, you know, the best way we can, because that's what we're in the business for, as public safety, is when you strip it all down, it's to help people, and help people often in times of crisis. So that's why we've enlisted the aid of that person. Now, we also operate in a lot of different facilities. So we're not just in the police station. So I know you all know where the police station is downtown, but because that station, we've outgrown that, we have a couple of different facilities, plus we've outgrown some of our functions. So the command staff and some administrative offices are next to Town Hall at 91 Main Street. We have a substation down at Market Basket Plaza, and we use that for meetings. We staff that on a sporadic basis. A lot of our volunteer auxiliary officers man that. And one of the best parts about it is Market Basket has donated that space to us at no cost. So nobody here is paying for that. We've got all the furniture donated, and the space is donated to us. So, and we do things like hold blood drives there and different community events. So that turns out to be a great spot. And like I said, there's a police presence in that part of town. If you're in that part of town and you don't want to drive all the way to the police station to speak to an officer, we can always meet you there, or you can stop in, and if there's an officer there, we can certainly take care of your business or answer any questions that you have right then and there. Now, our traditional functions are responding. We respond to calls. You call us. We come out and respond. We respond to car accidents. We respond to just about anything you can imagine, and then some. So that's our traditional function. But we also have some proactive programs that we do community outreach that gets us out of the police station. We don't wait for you to call us. We actually try to figure out what's happening beforehand. So some of our programs is we have officers in the schools, the school resource officers. And you all know the tragedies that have taken place recently, down in Florida and throughout the country. So we have officers in the schools to be our early warning system in the school system, and to develop relationships with not only the students but the staff there as well. And that person allows us to open and maintain a conduit in the school system back to the police department. And we also have an officer assigned to the traffic committee in the town, so that if you have a complaint about speeders in your neighborhood, if you think a speed sign should be a certain lowered or raised, or a stop sign should be there, there's a process for that, and one of our officers sits on that to assist in that process. And we also have, if you have unwanted medications in your house, we have a kiosk in the lobby of the police station. It's there 24 hours a day. Bring in your unwanted medications. You've heard me talk about this before, but I always use it as a reminder. Bring them in. There's no questions asked. Just dump them in the kiosk. They're safely secured there, and then they're transferred to an incinerator where they're destroyed. So we don't, there's nothing that happens to them after, there's no life after you drop them off. We destroy them. And we also, twice a year, we have our drug take back day that we do in conjunction with the Lions and the Decisions at Every Turn Drug Coalition. And we also have a sharks container. I know you have one here, but if you're in our part of town and you don't feel like schlepping up here with your sharks, you can drop them off at the police station. And the good thing about the one at the police station, just like the drug take back one, it's 24/7. So anytime you're in that area, you can go in, and it's in our lobby also. So I don't want to monopolize the whole morning here, but those are some of our programs, and I gave you a list of scams. So again, if you have questions about that, I guess we can discuss that later. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So thank you for those that came today and for those watching at home. My name is Brigade. I'm the finance director and town accountant for the town. And I'll be going over some of the exemptions that the assessors department has available to you. The assessors department offers a number of exemptions, but for today's purposes, we're going to briefly go over the elderly exemption and the property tax deferral. And I'll just give you some of the factors that would qualify you for the exemption. So for the elderly exemption, the property owner must own and occupy the residence and be 65 years of age as of July 1st. If the property is owned by husband and wife, at least one of you must be 65. The owners must have owned and occupied a residence in Massachusetts for the preceding 5 years to be eligible. And your total annual income from all sources cannot exceed $56,000 per applicant.
57.
57 now? 57,000, thank you, June. The property tax deferral, property owners,
Becca, please, 57 per person or per couple?
it's all the sources in your household. So it cannot exceed that 57,000, so anyone that's in your household. The property tax deferral program, property owners can defer their real estate taxes provided they are 65 years or older and have been residing in Massachusetts for at least 10 years, or the past 10 years. Let's see. The maximum amount of deferred taxes is 50% of the total assessed value of the property. The maximum income for eligibility cannot exceed $56,000.
57.
57, thanks. There is no limit on assets. However, a property lien will be recorded by the town. And we do have someone here from the assessor's office, June. If you have any specific questions about your particular situation, we have blank exemption forms for you to look at. The due date for both of them, I believe, is April 1st?
Yes, and that's a Sunday, so we're allowing it till Monday, April 2nd.
Okay, thanks, Jen. So if you have any questions about your specific income sources, you will be more than happy to answer your question. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our first roundtable. I do appreciate everybody coming. Everyone here that spoke today will go to the back of the room and they will, if you have any specific questions or would like to get more information from them, then you may do so. So I hope you enjoyed your day. And once again, thank you for coming.